Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. We've got huge breaking news today on Palantir and the NHS FTP contract that's worth up to $580 million over 5 years. This broke after hours today, with most of it being a typical article about the NHS and Palantir, except for this one big paragraph. And I'll talk about how the stock is also reacting too directly from this news. So according to the article, the deal is subject to final approvals and arrangements, but the government was on track to announce Palantir as the winning bidder as soon as this month. People familiar with the discussion said, asking not to be identified because the information isn't public here. Now, if you read through the rest of the article, it's the same old filler with why it's controversial and the previous and current work Palantir is doing with the NHS in the UK, but it's just this single paragraph that makes it sound like insiders have leaked that they're going to win the contract. Now, we know there's a campaign going on currently that we got info on last week, and some were trying to tie this to Palantir winning because they want to make sure the public can digest and also get more informed on how their healthcare system is going to be affected, but also still remain secure in regards to their data. Now, I'm going to put my speculation hat on here. This is a big warning. Bloomberg is obviously a very big and established news organization, so they definitely are putting their reputation on the line and know exactly what they wrote in this article here, so there's no skirting around it. Now, it's not uncommon for their sources to remain unidentified because this is obviously has huge implications for publicly traded companies, but also the many other things that people can do, nefarious things with this insider information. Now, we don't know the extent of how many people would be privy to this insider information in their government, but I'm assuming it can't be too many people that they wouldn't be able to link it to at least a group of people who have worked on this and the contracting process. Now, it is a big project still, so it definitely has more than one person here, but I'm also thinking it's just not enough leaking this info to pinpoint a single person here, so they should be safe. Remember, my speculation hat is on, but I think this means Palantir will win the FTP contract. But do you think the same here? Let me know down in the comments. Bloomberg and any of these news organizations typically don't just go with any source here that comes up and try to vet it as much as they can, of course, especially with this insider kind of information that is obviously very sought after in the financial markets. Now, of course, they may have to take this on a case-by-case basis with their exact sources. So maybe it's someone they've worked with before and they can trust. Or maybe it's someone new here, but they have like direct information or evidence of it. So that's just all speculation. Plus, with all the previous work and contracts too with Palantir that's been reported on heavily, that experience of working with Palantir and the NHS together is in there and creates this recency and anchoring bias for the decision makers here because they know what they'll be paying for. So that's another reason why I may think this is going to go into their favor. Now, the market right now, if you just look at the after-hours price, loves this news, and it is up about 2.5% as of this recording, after falling, though, down the rest of the market during the day, which is down 6%. But either way, at least in the short term, the market likes this news. Now, if it holds on, who knows? And if markets are actually trying to fully price in a win on the contract, I'm not sure either. But I'd say the qualitative wins from getting this contract are much, much more important for investors than the qualitative $500 million over 5 years. It's a nice little chunk of change each quarter, don't get me wrong, but not that kind of S-curve kind of growth here unless we get a bunch of contracts like this. But rather, getting through the barrier into the NHS and then being publicly accepted over time and seeing if results actually hold through and improves the system. That's going to be a great example around the world for nationally ran healthcare systems, but also just any kind of healthcare organization, especially in the United States, that Palantir can potentially break into other countries for. So the real treasure here is that for shareholders, and hopefully this information turns out to be true and that Palantir has won the contract.